Hillary?
Yes,
Hi.
sorry. I don't know what happened. I don't know where Chris is, but we will try this.
What did you do that worked?
I contacted Courtney to see if we could get the old link to work, and we don't know what happened to it. So she set us up a new one and is going to update the calendar online so that people can find us. And it's a good thing it's just a business meeting and nobody's coming to talk to us at the business meeting. So we should be okay for 5 o'clock.
Okay, I hope so.
Me too. Yes, I hope so too. And I'm just gonna send this over to Ben to make sure he has it.
Yeah, I don't see Barbara either.
I'm going to walk in towards.
Here's Ben. Okay, but Barbara would have gotten the other. Okay. Wow. Okay. And we're recording, so we're good. Oh, here I am.
Jill, I don't know what happened with that. I tried everything.
Okay, well, we have a new one.
Yeah, thanks to Courtney.
Okay, is Barbara on?
She's not on just yet.
Okay, I'm just worried because she was dialing in.
She's right here.
Okay, good.
Well, let's make sure that's her and not Michael Fisher. Mike, is that you? Michael?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so we're still waiting on Barbara.
Just what you needed.
It just adds to the day, you know?
Hillary, while we're waiting, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is our committee covered by the suspension of a quorum?
Sorry, I don't understand what you're
I
asking.
thought the governor issued a ruling that under the conditions of the coronavirus, that certain committees don't have to have a quorum.
Mom, you have
I
these.
just want to know if we were covered by that.
No, we're not. It didn't apply to the quorum number for us. We still need a quorum. It just said that we could meet remotely.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. I mean, it hasn't been a problem with us. We've had enough members, so.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to your
If
recruiter.
it comes up, it might be.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, thanks to your recruitment, right? So Barbara should be able to call in, and I sent it separately to Ben, so he should be getting it too.
And then the 3 applicants, presumably you'll have to get it too.
Yeah, Courtney was gonna update the website with the correct information. And just while we're talking, Don Monroe asked if we could take him first for SPAR because he has another hearing in another town. And I told him we generally don't take folks out of order.
Should we open the business meeting? We have a quorum to do that. Okay. Then we'll open the business meeting pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Sections 18 through 25, as amended by Chapter 28 of the Acts of 2009, the Wetlands Protection Act, and the Wellfleet Environmental Protection Bylaw and its regulations. This is the business meeting starting at 4 o'clock. It's been delayed. It is a remote meeting pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. What I'd like to do, Hillary, is to ask you first if you had a chance to look at 40 Hiawatha before I forget about it, and to tell us whether that's something that had been permitted. You're muted.
Yes, I'm there. We did look at 40 Hiawatha and we had 2 complaints this week or over the past 2 weeks. 40 Hiawatha is one. We had a jurisdictional opinion from 40 Hiawatha. I don't remember the date, but sometime within the past 2 years. And we told them we needed more information. We did not approve anything. So they are getting our violation letter. And then we had another violation at Ann Udowitz's place. She was throwing brush onto her bank, and that's the property we approved a jurisdictional opinion for at our last meeting to put up the chain across the driveway. So,
Yeah. Plus there was brush being thrown across from Udowitz on the other side. That's what I was talking about on Hiawatha, the large skinny house that replaced the small cinder block house.
yes,
He's from Virginia.
yeah.
Thrown brush out there on the edge of the marsh.
Okay, so Doug has yet to go out to see Udowitz, but when he goes out to see the Udowitz dumping, he can look across the marsh too. And just trying to think of that guy's name. I used to know it quite well. It's escaping me at the moment, but I know the house in question. So he walks across the street and throws the brush on the bank.
Is
Yes.
that Chris? Is that Chris? Udowitz, Chris, the,
No, Ann Udowitz is the one where we approved the chain across
Right.
the driveway.
Right.
She's dumping on the bank.
right.
And then across the street, the new house, well, it's newer now, the long skinny one. It's like the second house back from the water, but faces Sewell's gutter.
Okay.
I know I'm just gonna text that to Doug right now so he looks at them both together.
Yeah, quite a bit of grading has gone on at 40 Hiawatha, plus paving stones have been placed in many rows across the bottom of the driveway. Brush has also been cleared from the spot. I have pictures. So it's a substantial violation there.
There you go. What is that
Okay,
status?
then on the mail, unless anyone else would like to report another violation.
No?
Okay, mail.
We have no good mail. An environmental notification form for the bulkhead at Pleasant Point, so that's still in the works. We also got an extension request, which we'll hear at an upcoming meeting. They need more time, obviously, to install their bulkhead, and that's all the properties along Pleasant Point there. Bob Perry was their engineer. So just the ENF is in the mail.
Okay. Then the conservation agents report.
I'm gonna talk to you in 1 second. I just want to get this message off to Doug so I don't forget. And all I have is one jurisdictional opinion, but give me 1 minute.
Okay.
Can anyone see me? No.
No.
All right, I have a new computer, so I'm trying to figure out how to do this. All right,
I'm just glad you're on finally.
yeah. Well, even if I couldn't do this, I could phone in, but I couldn't even phone in today.
All have that problem.
All right.
Can you see us, Barbara?
Yeah, I can see some of you.
Bye.
And
All right, Barbara. Huh. You can see us, but we can't see you.
yeah, but that's okay. I don't need to be seen. As long as I'm heard, I'll
Okay.
figure this out. This is a new computer and it's a different way of getting into Zoom.
Did
Okay.
you select? Okay.
Does anybody are we ready for the jurisdictional opinion?
Sure.
We have one jurisdictional opinion for Herbert and Grace Stanley at 260 Bayberry Lane in South Wellfleet. And they would like to remove 2 dead large pine trees in close proximity to their home. They go on to write, my fear is they may, in a high wind, fall onto my house. Removal also includes many large and small branches fallen from the trees. Damage to the trees is existing, and miscellaneous branches and tree debris. My home is located along Old Spring Creek Marsh. And so Doug was out there and he said the trees are completely dead and infested with the beetle. And he agrees that they should come down.
Is there
Brainer.
time to take them down so that we won't stimulate more beetle activity?
Winter generally is the time.
Well, that seems reasonable.
Is there any other discussion?
No.
Could I have a motion?
I move we approve this jurisdictional decision.
Is there a second?
I'll second, Leon.
Does that include doing it in the winter as a?
I don't know if she has the option to do it in the winter.
I'm gonna ask when we get back in touch with them. I'm gonna ask.
It would just be a shame to spread the beetle to other viable
Please
trees.
explain to them that if they take them down now, the beetle could move.
Okay, we need a voice vote because it's a remote meeting. Leon, how do you vote?
Yes.
John Portnoy? I
You're
can't hear.
muted, John.
Okay, I don't know how that happened. Anyway, should we also, is there also a recommendation about disposal of the wood to avoid infesting other trees?
I don't know if they intend to leave it on site or remove it completely from the site and chip it. We can find that out.
Okay, so I vote yes.
Barbara Brennesel,
Yes.
John Kumpler,
Yes.
Ben Fairbank? I think you're muted.
Yeah, he is. He's on mute.
Okay, Mike Fisher,
Yes.
and I vote yes. If we can get Ben off mute.
No, I can't.
He has to do it himself, I think.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll put him as present and non-voting.
Okay, so we have 6.
Sorry, but I will.
I'm sorry, we
Aliens.
can't understand.
But it was interesting. Very existential.
All right, looks like he clicked off. He'll come back on. We'll get him in a minute, but it's
When we
6
get home, let's play.
to 0 to 1. Okay.
Okay. So then on DLTA, either the bylaw or the regulations, Hillary?
So under the DLTA, I'm still working through that. And we did get a price proposal in from the one company that didn't submit their price proposal the last time. And it was higher than the other 2. So we can't select them. I'm still working on looking at the qualifications of APCC and Horsley and Witten. And I put a call into the assistant TA today to ask a couple more questions. So we're still working through that.
Okay, all right. Then we have meeting minutes. Chris, could you give us the date of the minutes that we have for approval?
It would be I'm thinking June 6th. I don't have that right in front of me.
The third.
3rd?
Yeah.
Okay. Has everybody had a chance to look at the edits to those?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, could I have a motion to approve the minutes as
So
edited?
moved for June 3rd.
Okay, is there a second?
Second,
All right, Mike Fisher, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ben Fairbank? Ben? Can I get a vote from you?
Oh, he's on.
I don't hear him.
Yeah,
He's
he's
currently
muted.
muted.
He's muted.
still muted.
Ben, are you able to unmute? All right, Barbara Brenessel, how do you vote?
Yes.
John Kumbler,
Yes,
John Portnoy,
Yes.
Leon,
Yes.
and Debbie, yes. Ben, are you able to vote now?
I muted it.
okay.
These meetings are terrible, I have to
I
say.
agree. We are having
Can
incredible
you guys hear
difficulties.
me?
Now we
Yeah.
can,
You.
yeah.
Your votes for the past two, for the jurisdictional opinion and
So
for,
you still can't.
I'm sorry? Okay, I think he's gone again. All right, we'll put him as present, but we're unable to get his vote because of the connection. And I'd like to have that specified in the minutes, Chris,
Okay.
because it just shows how difficult it is with these. All right, is there anything else anybody wishes to address in the business meeting?
So once again, I'm going to ask Hillary, what's the status on the Way 60 place, the shed?
Hillary, you're muted.
We sent them the letter and we're waiting to hear back.
Okay. And I also have, and I don't know how to, I don't want to mention this when we're actually in the public hearings, but I tried to figure out the Hazard Bond Street, and it took me forever to find the place. And when I found it, I had no idea what they were talking about from what they gave me and walking around there. Does anybody else have that difficulty, or is it just me?
At
Well,
Hazard,
I met her and she explained it all, but I told her to put the stakes up and make it clear, and she didn't seem to get that.
I have a question. If we can't get into this meeting, how are the public going to? And is this a public meeting and is it valid? If the public doesn't have a link? 'Cause I tried the link from the website.
Right, what they've done is they've changed on the website. Courtney Barnes went on the website and she has changed the website to show the new link. So yes, it is valid,
Okay. All right.
but we are-
Last minute valid.
yes,
Yeah.
we are having incredible difficulty, as you know.
Okay.
If someone can't make it in, I think we have to give them a little leeway, given all that.
I agree with you, John. I think that's absolutely true. The only other thing I would report is that there was a hearing on the emergency motion. It was on June 11th, and there's been no ruling.
Thank you.
Coming any day.
So,
So if there is a ruling, and we need to discuss that, we'll discuss that in an executive session. But just to advise people that there was a hearing on June 11th.
that was for the reconsideration?
Yeah.
That was on the emergency motion.
Okay.
And it did touch on the reconsideration also, but we don't know what decision, if any, will be issued and when it'll be issued.
Okay.
Okay. Hillary, I'd like to just address, if you could, we seem to be having violations that start as the weather gets better by people who both live here and people who don't. And the only way I know to address it is to talk to contractors who would do work for them, and maybe to get something on the non-resident taxpayers website, or to have them send out an email blast about it, because we keep having these and we can assess fines, but it doesn't really help the problem. And I'm open to any suggestions anyone has.
Well, I guess I was just going to say, I don't know that we're seeing any more violations than we would normally see. I feel like we usually see at least a handful each spring, summer. And I think no matter how much we let people know, they're still going to happen. So I think we have to follow up. We have to insist upon charging the after the fact filing fee. And the more consistent we are, I think the better it's going to be over time, unfortunately. But that's just my thoughts.
Can we find both the homeowner and the contractor? Because I think if we don't do that, we won't get compliance.
Yes, we can do both.
I agree with Debbie. I think that's where the contractors, where it's, to use a bad metaphor, the rubber hits the road. And if they know, they then say to the homeowner, you can't do that. But if we just kind of wait till we get these.
John, you got muted.
Sorry, I'm trying to mute my phone, which is ringing.
You pushed the wrong button.
Does anyone else have any ideas about what to do about that?
I have a related question. This is Mike.
Sure, Mike.
So I reported the Omaha violation, but I wasn't sure whether sending the image and the report to just Hillary is the way to go, or to everyone, because I don't want to, have a discussion not in a public meeting.
I don't see how a report of it is a discussion.
I think you can send it to everyone. Just if you're going to send it to everyone, nobody weigh back in and comment, and just know that we are following up on it. So, I mean.
Okay.
Did we vote on Stanley? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say is, remember the emergency hearing we had? I think it was on June 3rd, though it might have been the meeting before, for the sand at 20 or 21 Samoset, Hillary?
Yes.
That sand is already washing away. If you walk along the beach, you'll see that a good foot to 2 feet of it have already gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's there to wash away, essentially. So my guess is that they will probably want to come back and do more, but Coastal is monitoring it because they have another client down the way from those two properties that also wants to do some nourishment. So they're out there regularly and they are monitoring it. So it was just the one-time approval, so they have to come back to us to do anything else.
Didn't catch the name.
I don't know the name, Chris. It was the emergency hearing that we had very recently. It's on Samoset.
Michelson, 21 Samoset, Michelson.
Thank you.
John, you're on mute.
Since we're talking about this, is it possible, I know we're all locked down and I don't want to do this over Zoom, but I would feel more comfortable when we make these decisions if we could sit down with some experts to just have a serious conversation about renourishment. I'm a little concerned that we're due, one thing here, one thing there, one thing without any overall vision of what the impact of renourishment is. Is this a good thing? I mean, I understand the philosophy behind it. That is, when you have a revetment, sand is not naturally being replenished, but we're not having a larger conversation about what this means for our coastal environment. And I would like that conversation with people who are experts about it. Now, unless people think this is not necessary, I'm not going to make an issue of it, but I just am throwing that out as something we might think about.
John, I think that's an excellent idea. John Portnoy, do you know people who would be good to speak to us about sand transport up and down Barbara, there you are all of a sudden.
Oh, I don't know what I did.
Well, don't do it again.
Remember.
So Mark Borelli has all that information. He will come and talk to us, I'm sure, but that has all been studied and put into our database for this CZM grant that we're wrapping up, with more to come on round 2 that we're applying for. So I don't know if any of you had the opportunity to chime in on any of the listening sessions that we held. They were on Zoom, and Mark Borelli gave an overview of the work that we had done, but he essentially studied all of the littoral cells from Eastham to Provincetown, and we're working regionally to find the best placement for the material that's most useful and most beneficial. So that work that you're wanting to see, John, is ongoing. And so he can come and talk to us about that, but I don't think we have the ultimate answer at the moment. However, we know that our beaches are starved of sediment, and if there's a revetment there, they're not being fed by the coastal banks anymore. So
It would be very good to know where sand renourishment might be effective, so that if some of these people have it in their order of conditions, they don't necessarily have to put it on their property, but put it someplace where it could be effective. So that would be really good information for
So
us.
that's what we're working on. We don't have all those answers just yet, but we are looking at the cells across jurisdictions to find the best placement.
Hillary, also, has the shellfish department been involved to talk about the travel of the sand and whether they're having any problems with it?
Yep. I talked to Nancy just yesterday, and she saw it going on. She was involved in the pre-construction site visit, and she has not observed any problems yet.
I guess one of the things I'm thinking about is we see a lot of nourishment, for example, on the harbor, north of the harbor toward, Powers Landing and beyond. And I wonder, to what extent is that sand just washing down into the harbor to get dredged out and moved back? I mean, that's the kind of overall view I'd like. It sounds like this is happening. The study is happening. I would like, when we finally can meet, I don't want to do it on Zoom because
Right.
you might.
I agree with you.
We can
And
meet.
it also goes back to the Herring River restoration, because the folks on Egg Island are complaining about sediment all the time. But is that sediment really coming from the river, or is it coming from these renourishment projects
Right.
that we are, conditioning? So I think it's a good point.
So do we want to ask Mark to come? You want him to come when we can meet in person?
I would prefer that. I, as I said, Zoom meetings give me migraines. It's just,
No, I think it would be really good, because with Mike Fisher's help, we could put up the slides and, or
right, exactly.
we could project them and look at everything together.
So I will hold tight on reaching out to him, and I guess, God, I have no idea when we're going to be able to meet in person again.
Yeah, it's in the far future, I think.
I just wanted it out there for something for us to think about.
Yeah.
Hillary, you mentioned that there had been some talks about it. Were those on recorded Zoom meetings?
Yeah, so the link, you can watch them. They're on the town website. If you go to the media button, it's on the left-hand side. If you go to meetings recorded during COVID and scroll down, it's listed under CZM listening sessions. And I think it's really interesting. None of you have seen any of it?
No, I saw it.
Oh, you did? Okay. Did you think it was interesting?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, we're doing some really cool things. So check it out because it's all relevant to the work you're doing as conservation commissioners. Sorry, I don't always let you know what's going on, but this is actually a really interesting project and it would be worth listening to.
I would just
So
hate
who
for
did the,
us to be allowing for beach nourishment in the wrong place that's causing harm.
Yeah, no, I get that. And I think we've only had one situation of that when we allowed that massive dumping of truckload upon truckload of sand. Well, maybe two locations that I can think of. Everything else is pretty minor in the amount that gets put out, and none of it has caused any, true problems.
Okay.
who produced these presentations that are on the website?
It's Mark Borelli, Provincetown Center for Coastal Studies, and your conservation and health agents from Eastham, Truro, here, and P-Town.
Okay. Also, I think that, I think we on the commission pretty much understand what the mechanism and what we're trying to replace with revetments. But I still think we need to talk about what the objectives are. And I think the ultimate objective is to maintain a certain amount of intertidal and subtidal habitat. And maybe we're all clear on that, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of the engineers who come to us are not clear on that. It seems like a lot of them are arguing to preserve the coastal bank in one place. And that's, I guess that's sort of a moot question if you've got a revetment, but that's not our objective. Our objective is to maintain intertidal and subtidal habitat.
I think that's an excellent point that we often don't even talk about, but now that we're reviewing our bylaws, I think maybe that could be folded in. We haven't done that, looked at those bylaws and how that translates into our regulations in a long time, but I think that's an important point that we should make sure it gets folded in there. It's
And
not just,
Yeah.
it's not just protecting one house, it's the habitat, throughout.
And so that would go into our regulation revision as well as being the important things that we want to protect.
I would hope so, and I don't know if it's legally defensible, but I would hope that we could put that in there. That's a really good point, John. I'm glad you mentioned that because I often struggle with these projects because you're looking at like one house, one project, but what can we do to preserve the nearby coastal areas too, or the nearby wetland habitats? And it's not often clear and it's not often defensible with our regulations to do that.
The other thing about the regulations, remember, John Kumbler, you had raised the issue of wanting a regulation regarding a change in the way we look at septic systems that are close within 300 feet of a wetland. And I wanted to make sure that when we looked at that, we weren't looking in too limited a fashion. It was 300 feet, a reasonable limit. Should it be 400 feet? Should it be 500 feet? I just don't know. So if you have any information you can bring to us on that, that'd be great.
It also says the slope, there's a term for it, for how much the earth there slows up the flow rate or something like that.
Time of
So
travel.
it's not just,
Time of travel.
right.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a good time to bring this up, but I often listen into the Board of Regulations, Board of Health regulation meetings and their talks, and they're talking about a regulation for short-term rentals. And a lot of it is tied to their septic systems. And a lot of these septic systems are near the water on little lots. And whether anything we can do can sort of help them along in getting some regulations to say that these septic systems need to be upgraded, or especially if they're just, cesspools and not even septic systems. So I just want to say that Hillary is the queen overarching both of our committees, and whether there's any intersection and whether Conservation Commission could help the Board of Health's effort to have these short-term rental agreements to protect our water.
So I don't know about the CONSCOM interjecting in the short-term rental regulations. I think that may be overstepping sort of the conservation jurisdiction. I do think it's reasonable for the Conservation Commission to put in regulation about septic systems within 300 feet. And the 300 feet came from George Hoyfelder, who's like the septic guru. So I think if we look to Falmouth, and I think Brewster or Eastham has something else with the 300 feet and a description of why that 300 feet is important. I'm thinking it might be Brewster at this point, but give me some time to pull that and I can send it to you so you can see it. And then as we redraft our regulations, perhaps we put that regulation in place to protect water quality and groundwater, which we can do as well.
It would be interesting to know whether that 300 feet is to the wetland, the edge of the wetland, or whether it's to surface water.
You know, I think it was surface water.
Yeah, that might make more sense, but I'd like to know more about that.
Yeah. So let me find them and I'll ship them off to you, the relevant sections, because I think I have them in a stack over here.
Okay, Hillary, can I come back to related to this? We obviously, it's the Board of Health, which looks at septic systems in terms of health issues, the migration of microbes that will be a problem. Our concern is the microbes of the migration of nitrates and toxic materials into wetlands and things. Can we, as the Conservation Commission, suggest in our regulations that if you're grandfathered in to have a cesspool, don't get permission to have short-term rentals? Because that's pressure on that system. And it's a change of the use from a homeowner to a renter.
I don't see how we could possibly do that, John. I think that really oversteps. I think we could say that when there's a change in ownership, there needs to be a correction. But I don't see any other way we can touch it. Hillary, what do you think?
I don't think the Conservation Commission should take that jurisdiction. It sits with the Board of Health. I think the Board of Health is in tune with that, and they're gonna see to it that the septics get inspected, and if indeed it is a cesspool, then it would be determined failed upon the inspection and it would be ordered to upgrade. So I think that's built into the rental registration documents that we currently have. Now, whether those change or not is yet to be seen, but I would suggest you write a letter to the Board of Health. So any letters of support would sure be nice, because we had lots and lots of opposition at our last meeting and very few people speaking in favor of it. So any encouragement or positive thoughts about it would be great.
So those letters should be sent to the select board or to the board?
No, to the Board of Health. You can send them through me or you can send it to them.
Okay.
What about a resolution from the Conservation Commission indicating our support for the Board of Health in this effort?
Good
Sure.
point.
Could I have a proposal for that?
I
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I propose that the Conservation Commission send a letter to the Board of Health as the Conservation Commission supporting their attempt to upgrade the regulation and enforcement on septics and cesspools with short-term rentals.
Could I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mike Fisher.
Voice vote, Mike,
Yes.
Ben? I think you're muted again.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. John Kumpler,
Yes?
Barbara Brenessel,
Yes.
Leon,
Yes.
John Portnoy,
Yes.
and Debbie, yes. So it's unanimous. Hillary, if you want to, would you mind drafting a letter?
Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely.
And I think it should say that we strongly support.
Yes.
Hillary, I'd like to probably add to that letter.
Do you
I can
want
see
to
a draft.
Do you want to draft it? That may
Yeah,
be,
okay.
it might be awkward. I'm drafting it
Ah,
on something that I've drafted.
I like how you did that, Hillary.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, I'm happy to do it, but it might be weird if I write a letter for you guys supporting something I wrote for the Board of Health. Like, I'm just,
I get
Yeah,
it.
I'll draft it. I'll draft something and send it around.
yeah, I mean, I'm happy to do it, but it might just be strange.
Thank you, John. Anything else that we need
Okay,
to?
I have this is stupid, but I just wanted to know. Under Robert's rules, I thought a person who made the motion does not have to vote on the motion. That the making of the motion and then the motion being seconded, that becomes that becomes a vote. And I just wondered if that's true, it'd save us a fraction of time.
I don't know the answer to that. Chris, do you know?
I am not familiar with that. Typically with like zoning, everybody votes again. I don't know. I can look that up.
Well, and I don't know if we're governed by Robert's rules.
I don't either. It might be different, a set of guidelines, John.
I mean, Robert's rules has peculiar things, like if a committee represents something, it doesn't need a person to make a proposal if the committee makes a proposal. I mean, Robert's rules are weird.
What I would suggest is, given that we're all new to remote meeting procedures, that having an extra person vote on it doesn't hurt. If we're told that it shouldn't happen, that's fine. But if we're told that we should have had that and we didn't do it, then we can't fix it.
Right, I take back my comment.
Well, town meeting runs by Robert's rules and the person making the motion gets to vote on it.
Well, a town meeting runs by Robert's rules, but there are a couple things town meeting does that are in violation of Robert's rules that I ignore because who cares?
Look at me.
All right. Anything else? Barbara, I wanted to tell you that out in the Fox Island Marsh, I've been seeing very small little turtles.
Oh, that's good. That means our conservation efforts are working. Thank you for that.
Yeah, there seems to be actually more in Chipman's Cove as well.
Good. Good to hear. Good to hear. We're out there every day. I wasn't even sure I could come back for this meeting, so that's good.
So Barbara, what's the story on the horseshoe crabs? Are you still monitoring those?
Yes, we have another 3 surveys, very dismal.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got 5 minutes. Is there anything anybody else wants to raise?
Yeah, I wonder what happened to the Zoom number, because Chris gave it to us last week. And this is not the first time that this has happened, so I'm wondering what the issues are. I even spent money and bought a new computer so I could do this. It's sad, and then I couldn't do it, and I still can't figure it out, so.
It was something with the way that the meeting was set up that it got canceled and it makes the meeting invalid. So I don't know if someone, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yesterday, Monday, I tried to go on the Energy Committee meeting and I used the Zoom number and it told me that meeting is not happening tonight. It's happening on. And then apparently it did happen. So Zoom was telling me it wasn't happening. And so I saved myself a meeting.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if the public can participate at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
We're getting members of the public.
Yeah,
who are-
no, they're here. We have someone for Row and we have someone from Spar. So
Okay.
they're here. We're just missing someone for Hazard, but
Okay. All right.
Right, so why don't we break?
I move we close the business meeting of June 17th.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have to have a voice vote. Ben,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
John Kumbler,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Leon,
Yes.
John Portnoy,
Yes.
Debbie, yes. All right, so at 5 o'clock, we will open the business meeting, which according to my computer is 3 minutes from now.
Right.
Hillary, do you have a Hazard's email address or phone?
I think she stepped away for a minute, Mike.
Oh, okay. Because she said she wanted to be on without video, and so I'll just forward it to her. See.
sorry, I was just grabbing the files. We have some folks on the line. Let's see, the 203 number. Can you tell us who you are? 203? Okay. Let's see. The 917 number. Could you tell us who you are?
Yes, this is Catherine Hazard calling. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we've got you. Good. Okay. Thank
Oh.
you.
Wonderful.
Catherine with a C or K?
With a K.
Okay.
Got it. All right. And we had Jay Horowitz. Jay, are you still here? No, Jay. Oh, you're right there. Okay, I got you. Okay.
Yes. Here.
Okay, great. So we just don't know who the 203 number is.
Would that be Ben?
Oh. Ben, is that you? Ben? All right, well, I'll just throw them back on mute and I guess they'll announce themselves when ready.
Okay, we're going to open the business portion of the Town of Wellfleet Conservation Commission meeting of June 17th, which is held remotely pursuant to the statement I made before at the opening of the business meeting. The first hearing is Hazard 100 Bond Street, map 36, parcel 104. It's an RDA to replace and relocate a shed. Do you want to tell us about your project, please?
Yeah, sure. The shed was built originally, I think, in 1981, maybe a little bit after that. So it's about 40 years old. And it's right on the edge of the marsh, and it's not in great shape. And what I would love to be able to do is to take down the shed and put up some put in some plants. And I've talked to people about what kinds of plants might work for that space. And then to build a new shed, just a little, it's slightly higher ground and set back of the
Is the
same.
new location staked on your property?
Yes, I do.
And when did you do that?
Today. Well, actually, I had oyster shells there, but obviously that wasn't official enough for people to be able to see it. I don't know how many people had a chance to see the property today, but I hope it was visible.
Okay. Does anybody have questions about the proposal?
I just have one observation that we don't normally, we're not permitting new structures within 50 feet of the resource.
And the location for this new structure is within 50 feet of the resource?
Well, I measured it today. The original structure is very, very close to the marsh, so that's definitely within that. And the new location, I believe the front of it would be 62 feet from the edge of the marsh. That was, yeah.
Back?
Yes, back. So if you're facing the marsh and you're looking out through the front of the original shed, then it would be to your left and back on slightly higher ground and back. So it, and the marsh curves, it's hard to, I think you may have a picture of it there. So by putting it to the left and back, it's actually farther back than if it were just in the same, behind the original shed.
John, does that answer your inquiry or not?
Well, I was out at the site today and spoke with Catherine, but I wasn't clear on, it wasn't clear where exactly the shed was going to go. And so I went back and looked at the plans, and I had to kind of use another measurement to scale where the existing shed is relative to the wetland resource. And I was concerned, it seemed like there was the potential for building a structure within that 50 foot. So it seems to me we need to define where the new shed is going.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very visibly marked right now, John. If anyone feels like taking another look, that would be great.
Hillary?
And I also recommend that you sort of revise the site plan that you submitted, because according to the site plan, which becomes the official record, the shed is not located outside the 50-foot filter strip, and it's also located within the flood zone. So I guess
Okay.
that the area that it's shown is problematic for several reasons.
Yeah, I was thinking of it as a replacement shed also, because there is a shed there, so it would be removing one and putting up another. But I definitely see your point. I'd be happy to submit a revised site plan.
Just for the record, I would like to see the revised plan, and I definitely would like to see the shed moved back beyond the 50 feet. Otherwise I don't have a problem with it. I don't think we should consider it a replacement because the original shed was built after 1978, so I don't think it gets grandfathered in. But I do think moving the shed back will work.
Does it count that that shed was a replacement for a previous shed? I don't know the rules on that.
My guess is that your original shed predates the Wetlands Protection Act, and this is a new structure being permitted.
Right, okay.
I would also like to see, I know the shed won't take up a lot of space, but I would like to see the impact on the property in terms of how many square feet of disturbance is on that property before I would permit it. So that's one
Absolutely.
thing that we're asking a lot of people to do. I don't know if it's appropriate for an RDA, but I'd like to have that in the record as well. How many feet of disturbance in
The
that,
entire property.
right, and that
Okay.
includes the house, the shed, driveways, any outbuildings, showers, and all that kind of stuff.
The other
Okay,
thing
so
we
everything on the,
would be for you to show us how the shed will touch the ground, whether it's going to be on pilings, columns, cinder blocks, whatever, so that we
Yeah.
understand that.
you know, I'm sorry to interrupt. Originally, I was thinking about cinder blocks because that's what the original shed was on, but I gather there's a better option now, which is diamond pier footing, which is less intrusive and more stable. So that sounded like a good option to me.
Okay,
Yeah, particularly if it's in the flood zone.
we would need you to show that on your plan, the way the shed will be constructed and what the how it will be placed on the ground. Because that
Okay.
becomes the record and we can see then, yes, she did it, no, she didn't do it, you know.
Absolutely, sure. Okay. And when should I submit the revised plan?
Well, I think you're going to have to come back, and our next hearing is when, Chris? 2 weeks from now.
Today, Di, you don't have a calendar in front. Oh, it's going to be July 1st.
No, aren't we just meeting July 15th? Or are we meeting July 1st? I'm
I
confused.
was not given any direction regarding it.
Meeting July 1st as well.
Okay, my mistake. So July 1st.
Can I, and I hate to give you more things to do. I'm very excited about you removing that shed because I think that's a problem for the land. But you should probably write in your description what you're going to do with the old shed. So we know it's going to be that material in case there's any, asbestos or anything will be removed from site.
Okay, yeah, it's made out of plywood, but I would be taking it to the Wellfleet dump or transfer station. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think just putting it in the proposal that the old shed will be removed and transferred off-site is all we need.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, thank you so much.
And also in the application, you say you were going to plant an oak tree and or plants native to the area in its place. When I spoke to you, you weren't sure you were actually going to do that.
Oh, absolutely. There are already some small oak trees growing there, but I need advice because I'm only an amateur gardener, but I would like to plant some grasses, and native blueberry was recommended too, which I thought was a nice idea. And I just want to make it beautiful and so that you can't see it from the marsh. And you really can see the current shed right now, and the other one would just be tucked back and wouldn't be visible. And, I would be very careful to construct it in a way that wouldn't impact the environment beyond what was necessary.
Okay, we have a motion to continue.
Do you want to make one, John?
Yes, I propose that we have a motion to continue for the 100 Bond Street, the replace and relocate shed to,
On July 1st?
Second. Barbara seconds.
Okay, we need a voice vote. John Portnoy,
Yes.
Barbara Brenessel,
Yes.
John Kumbler,
yes?
Ben,
Yes.
Mike Fisher,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, you're all set.
Leon.
Oh, I'm sorry, Leon.
Yes.
I apologize.
No problem.
It's hard to see who's here and who's not.
Okay, so thank you. So we'll see you back with your revised plan on July 1st.
Okay, thank you so much. And when would I need to get that to you? so that you'd have ample time to look at it.
1 week from today.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you all, and I really appreciate your input. Thank you.
All right, the next hearing is Roll 735 Chequasit Neck Road, 19, parcel 112, a notice of intent, build a minor addition to reconfigure the entryway, selective pruning of black locust among stone revetment, parens, seawall, close parens. I see Dale is here. I don't know. Oh, David's here too. Okay. We can't hear you. You're on mute.
I'm unmuted. Does everybody can hear me?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there anyone else here
Who is
with?
speaking?
This is Dave Bennett speaking, and I'm joined by the applicant, Jay Horowitz, and the owners, Dale and David Rowe. So this application is made for a minor addition to the front of the property. As shown in the plan, there's 51 square feet of enclosed area that's going to be added as part of the renovation of the dwelling. That area is currently occupied by decking, and it's to facilitate some remodeling inside the dwelling or change the number of bedrooms. As part of this application, we've also included the selective trimming through a licensed arborist of some black locust trees that are along the top of the revetment, which have grown dramatically and are invasive in this area. The area along the banking is very well vegetated, and this minor pruning will not affect the habitat area or the interest of the act here, but we are concerned that the growth of these trees, which are shallow rooted and brittle, represent an issue that might damage the revetment itself or destabilize through the uprooting of these trees. Now, Hillary, I don't know if I included in the application the photographs, if the commission has the photographs. If I might share a photograph of these trees, if it's so, if the commission would like to see these, or if all the commissioners got out to the site, I'm sure that they were apparent along the banking.
The photograph of the trees was not submitted with the application. We have a site plan showing where the replanting is going to take place, and we have the site plan showing the edge of the clearing.
Okay, could I share these photographs with you?
Yeah, let me see. Can you try and share the screen? If you can't, you can email them to me now, and then I can share them up on the screen with everyone.
Okay, let me go back to full view here.
You might not be able to share your screen.
All right. There, can everybody see the screen?
Perfect.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So in my haste, because quite frankly, I had the wrong meeting ID, my haste, I neglected to talk about mitigation and alternatives. So there is some mitigation here with regards to the replanting of some natural species along the top of the banking to fill in an area where these do already exist. So this, and then we looked at the alternatives that basically do nothing versus building this addition. And because the area that is proposed to be enclosed is already developed, and on the area between the street and the front of the building, we didn't believe there were any deficiencies or negatives associated with this. It was really to modernize the house and to make better use of the space that's existing there. I digress, but these are the trees that are shown there. What we'd like to do is basically trim the branches, as I said, with a licensed arborist so that they become more stout and full and not as leggy and susceptible to wind damage and breakage that's along here. But you can see how well this coastal bank is vegetated at this point. And I've been told by Dale, if you get out in a boat and you look at this, it's very obvious that this is a stable banking and well vegetated. So we don't want to do anything to change that. The issue is that we prefer that these trees do not come so big and overgrown that they fall down, removing root mass, which might damage the revetment and or destabilize the banking by creating a uplifting of the root ball. So I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission might have.
Does anyone have questions?
I have a question.
Yes,
Hillary, go ahead.
Do you have the certified arborist on board already?
No, we do not.
Okay.
Mike, was that you with a question?
yes, because there were also some oaks in among the locusts. Are they going to be dealt with?
I didn't notice those. I think that the area here is predominantly this black locust. But Dale, you're here if you'd like to offer any comment.
We would trim them if that was endorsed by conservation.
So I guess the answer would be if in fact they are leggy like this, they would be subject to selective pruning.
Just so we're sure, the pruning would be done by hand and the material would be walked out by hand?
Yes, I believe that was specified in the narrative, but it's intended that it would be entered by hand, that the only work would be done by hand, and that the materials would be cleared from the banking, removed from the site.
This site is very thickly vegetated, and I would be concerned that if these trees and black locusts have notoriously shallow roots, were to uproot, they would pull out some of that strong vegetation, which is holding that bank. So I do think this is a reasonable position to take.
Thank you.
I did have a question about on the renovation, on the plan, it shows a proposed addition, not of 51 square feet, but of, if I'm reading right, 5.5 by 6.0 feet. Is that just a mistake that needs to be corrected, or?
Yes, John, thank you for pointing that out. The dimensions, and Jay, correct me if I'm wrong, are on the order of 5.5 feet wide by 8.5 feet long. So it's a little bit bigger than what we called out. And I noticed that after I had made the filing, but it is 51 square feet is what we're talking about. And it does occupy that space that's shown in the plan.
Okay, but the dimensions need to be corrected on the plan before it goes into the file.
Yeah.
Correct. And Jay, is it 8.5 feet by 5.5 feet?
Your letter specifies 8 feet by 6.33 feet.
All right, I'm sorry. And that is the correct dimension.
Okay, Hillary? Are you there?
I am.
We have them correct the plan and submit that to you after, if we were to consent to this now?
Yes, I absolutely think so. The addition is quite minor. It's on the landward side of the resource area, so I think that would be fine.
Okay.
And I guess I would suggest if we're revising the plan, can we show the trees on the revised plan, or is that going to be a major setback?
Hillary, that kind of would be, that would require us to go back and resurvey the property.
Okay,
I'm sure you're going to appoint somebody from the commission to oversee this work, and I think that would be tedious and expensive if I could defer to that.
that's fine.
Can we at least have the number of trees that are going to be pruned? The number of trees, even if we don't have them on the map? I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's kind of open-ended due to previous
Yeah, I
conversation.
would like to see the number of trees that would be pruned.
Would it be acceptable to kind of show a cloud in the area along the banking and then call out the number of trees that were in that cloud?
I think so.
I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that would be fine.
I guess I would suggest too that your certified arborist is going to come on site and take a look prior to doing any work to give an estimate or whatever. So the certified arborist could submit that letter to us as well.
Right, and the disposition of any oak trees, because that was kind of left open, is that if they needed to be trimmed, we would trim them. But I think it'd be important to know specifically what trees, how many of what trees are going to be pruned.
In that regard, it would be nice if you could tell us what we're looking at here, because I didn't get out to the site. I see these tall trees. Are these all locusts that we're looking at?
I think so.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Okay,
Was that Dale?
Yes.
Okay.
okay, thank you.
Just so that we're on, in case I don't want to get off topic on this, but it's important to note that the addition is away from the resource. I mean, it's within our jurisdiction, but it's away from the resource area. There's a house between it and the resource area. So it's not going to lead to any more disturbance on the resource area. And I cannot see there's a problem with the addition at all.
No, I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I think the only thing we would need would be when the arborist is identified, the letter indicating where the trees are so that that cloud is particularly defined, the number of trees to be trimmed, the variety of trees to be trimmed, and specifying exactly what method the arborist will use in the pruning and in the removal. Would that address the concerns about the oaks and?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Through the chair, that would be a condition of the decision.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any further discussion?
I move we approve this with the qualifications that we've just mentioned.
Second.
Second.
We need a voice vote. Leon, I'm not forgetting you this time.
Yes.
John Kumbler,
Yes.
John Portnoy,
Yes.
Barbara Brenessel,
Yes.
Michael Fisher,
Yes.
Ben Fairbank,
Yes.
and Debbie Freeman, yes. You're all set. We just need the revised plan.
Thank you, everybody.
And the letter from the office.
And a supervisor.
Right, we do need a supervisor. Does anyone want to supervise this?
Barbara, I'll take it.
If you don't want to do it, Barbara, I'll do it.
That's okay. I'll do it. I have one right on the same road nearby, so.
Okay.
All right, then you're all set with those conditions.
Thank you very much. I will have the revised plan to Hillary certainly before next week, and appreciate your time and attention.
Okay, and we'll need the arborist letter as soon as the arborist is identified and has been out there.
Okay, but that'll be a condition of the approval.
Yes,
Okay, thank you so much.
thank you. Okay,
Thank you, everybody.
thank you. All right. The last matter is SPAR 0 off Bayview Avenue and 30 Bayview Avenue, map 35, parcels 212 and 34. Notice of intent, proposed rock revetment extension and return.
Hello, through the chair, Don Monroe representing the SPARS. I think we were waiting for Natural Heritage's updated letter, which we got, I believe, maybe even today, or maybe yesterday, but I think you got that, didn't you, Hillary?
I have not seen it yet.
Oh, okay, I have it right here. If you want me to email it to you?
Yeah, that's great.
All right. I will do that. Let's see. So I'll email it, but I'll do the quick brief description. We're doing a return on this particular revetment. We did submit some photos of what we anticipate might be a typical return the last time around. So really, I think what we were waiting for was the Natural Heritage letter. So it got continued last time, but if there are additional questions as a result of the information we sent, other than the Natural Heritage letter, I'd be glad to answer those, any questions.
Hey, Don, I just have one thing, and this was a while ago, but I know that there was some sand renourishment as part of this, but the shellfish, I wanted the shellfish warden to weigh in on this as to whether this was a good place to renourish or whether the conditions should be to renourish someplace else in compensation for this project. So I don't know about that, the renourishment aspect of it.
Okay, so Nancy probably hasn't responded. The Shellfish Constable.
She
Right.
should be on here.
Let's see,
She was on here. I don't see her right now, but it looks like someone from the town of Wellfleet is trying to enter and is joining. So maybe that is her.
okay.
That's the only thing. Otherwise, I'm okay with the project because it's a pre-existing structure and they already have a revetment and it's just on their property. So, and also I recall the neighbors were okay with this as well, the abutters.
Yes,
Can
as a
I-
matter. Yep, Mr. Berenger might be on the line here, so.
I don't see Bob. Town of Wellfleet, could you identify yourself, please? Town of Wellfleet. Nancy, is that you?
Well, while we're waiting for that, Hillary, I just emailed that to you, the Natural Heritage letter, so.
And if I can also say, this is Michael, Barbara said that the revetment is on their property. It's actually not on their property. It's on Conservation Trust property, and so I'm recusing.
Oh.
Okay, that's
The revetment or the return? The whole thing?
The whole thing.
the whole thing. Through the chair, we've talked with Denny O'Connell. He signed the page. That's what Natural Heritage wanted. They wanted the signature from the chairman of the trustees for the Wellfleet Conservation Trust to sign the NOI. He did sign that page, and he gave us a letter saying it was fine. That's in your file. And also, we had a letter from Miss Ann Spar stating that she will indemnify the Conservation Trust, so she's responsible for the wall that's already on her property, but it's on the Wellfleet Conservation Trust property. Actually, the Candles and the Spars revetment is on Conservation Trust land, but they've been very supportive of the walls that are there and also support this project.
Hillary,
So-
is there anything else that we need?
Nope, not that I believe.
Could we work through Hillary and Nancy to make sure whatever sand we place for nourishment, because we are currently placing 50 cubic yards on each of the spar and Candel walls currently, and that doesn't seem to have had any effect. And I believe Al Picard put sand down on the Ada Donald property on the other end.
Yeah.
And I do believe it's not the Vecchios, I think they own the Glaze property. They have a natural heritage a management plan where they're required to put sand on the beach there. So I don't think the amount we would be putting on the end would be significant compared to the amount that's already there, but we would certainly work with Hillary and Nancy to make sure we don't put too much down.
Hillary, is that a continuing order or is that a one-time order?
No, it would be continuing because it would apply to the whole revetment plus the return. So I think this is Nancy trying to get in. So let's just give it a minute.
Sure.
But I think we can work with her to get the right amount. So I think the answer to that is yes. We'll just put the condition on the project that more detailed documents will come in on the renourishment.
That's fair, because we already have to put nourishment down. So if we add 10 or 20 more cubic yards for the return on top of the 50 that's already annual nourishment, plus we monitor that as well so that we don't put too much down, and we do a letter to the conservation agent indicating if there's no loss of material, then we recommend no sand at that time. So we can do the same thing if you put conditions in there.
Well, it looks like Nancy's having trouble, so I think we can condition it such that the Shellfish Constable, the conservation agent, and the applicant work together to find the right amount of nourishment, and then we submit that to the commission, if that's agreeable.
So moved.
Before we move this, I would suggest that we include in the language Barbara's suggestion that if it's more appropriate to put the sand in a different location, that be considered part of the condition. I think Barbara's suggestion is a creative one, that we should just consider it.
Who would be making the recommendation or judgment on that?
I think that's the Nancy and Hillary.
Right. And some of Mark Borelli's studies of where the sand is going may help to inform that decision as well.
Just one question through the chair to John. Are you thinking like different locations on that particular spit, the Indian Neck spit, or location somewhere else other than that?
Well, I'm thinking it would probably be somewhere on the spit, but
Okay.
the whole point of it is that if it's appropriate to have sand renourishment, but there's a more appropriate place to put it, we're sort of trading off. Well, we're not putting it here, but if you put it there, that will make us feel happy. That's the idea.
Right. You could be creating piping plover habitat somewhere with that sand rather than putting it someplace where it might cover shellfish beds. So, I mean, I can't make that decision. We need the science to make that decision. But I think that it's a good idea not to just have random renourishment at the site where a project is occurring, because we know that a lot of it just gets washed away very quickly. We need to know where it's going and where it's going to make the most impact. So this is a small step. It's a small amount of additional sand, but I think this is a first step in sort of doing that kind of decision making around where sediment goes.
I support Barbara's suggestion.
Okay.
All right.
So Hillary,
then.
can that be written in?
Hillary?
I have the Shellfish Conservation Agent and the applicant to come up with a nourishment amount and the best placement location.
Excellent.
All right.
Okay.
We
That's
leave
fair.
it to you.
All right, then, does anyone else have anything on this application? All right, the motion is to support the application with the condition that the Health and Conservation Agent, the Shellfish Commissioner, and the applicant discuss the appropriate place and determine the appropriate place for any beach renourishment. Could I have a second?
I'll second.
And the amount for beach renourishment.
Okay, and the amount.
Who made the original motion, please?
John Kumbler.
Thank you.
I need a voice vote. John Portnoy, how do you vote?
I'll second. Second.
Oh, I thought Leon already seconded.
Oh, maybe you did. Sorry, Leon.
Everybody's stepping on me today.
No, his Zoom thing is throwing me for a loop.
John Portnoy, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Leon,
Yes.
John Kumbler,
Yes.
Mike Fisher,
Abstain.
Ben,
Yes.
Debbie Freeman, yes. You're all set with that.
Great. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good night.
You
Who's
too.
going to supervise this one? Who's supervising the one at the other end? Maybe the same supervisor.
Probably Doug and I should supervise it if we're gonna have to talk about the nourishment amount and the location.
Excellent. Thank you, Hillary. Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
great. Thank you.
All right, then, is there anything further that we need to deal with in the business portion of the meeting?
Hearings.
You mean the hearings?
The hearings, I'm sorry, the hearings, public hearings portion of the meeting. I'm losing it tonight.
Yeah, we all are. That's okay.
Hearing nothing, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
John Portnoy,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Leon,
Yes.
John Kumbler,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Debbie, yes, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job, Debbie.
Stay safe, everybody.
Yes, Deb, thank you very much.
Don't want to be chair.